Hello, I am now live. This is Dylan Lang, the creator of Dylan Knows. I'm on episode 588, Bad Wind. It is 3:45 p.m. on January 12th, 2025. 2025 has sucked ass so far, and I'm freezing in my basement right now because it is fucking freezing out. And we have a polar vortex coming our way within the next 10 days, which is going to drop our temperatures drastically from where they are now. We were in the 20s and 30s, not so much 30s, lots of 20s this week. Had 2 bouts of snow this week. And bad winds, wildfires, the Golden Globes, production starts and ends and delays, football, playoffs, national championships, all kinds of bullshit. So all kinds of crazy stuff here talking about this week. This is my show. I've been doing it for close to 11 years. And it's been a wild 11 years. I started on a Sunday, usually Sunday at 12 o'clock was when I started my show back 11 years ago, but it usually comes to Saturday evenings around 11 p.m. I usually do my live show, but Baltimore Ravens, my hometown football team, got to be the number 3 seed in the NFL and played the Pittsburgh Steelers on a playoff game yesterday, Saturday, the 11th of January at home in Baltimore, where they annihilated them 28-14. And to advance to the next level, more than likely going to be playing the Buffalo Bills, who are currently dismantling the Denver Broncos 28-7 with 5:18 left in the game. And looks like they get ready to score again because they're in the red zone. So we'll see what happens. So the Ravens will be probably heading up to Buffalo next weekend, which would mean that the Houston Texans, who surprised everybody by beating the Chargers, will be heading to Kansas City to take on the Chiefs next week as well. So there's your AFC games. The NFC has not had any playoff games start yet. They've got their first one at 4:30, which is about 45 minutes from now, with the Packers taking on the Eagles. And then they have the 8 o'clock game tonight, which is the big one. Washington Commanders, which is another one of my teams, taking on Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And Monday night's game will be the Rams versus the Minnesota Vikings. Due to the wildfires in Los Angeles, that game has been moved from Los Angeles to Phoenix, Arizona, which is odd because you figure you could move it up to San Francisco or maybe even down to San Diego. It'd be a nice place to play it because the fires are presently just centered in LA, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. So yeah, that's what's going on with that. Next weekend is going to be a little rough because normally I do my shows on Saturday nights at 11:30. We have a family party on Saturday that doesn't start till 6 o'clock on the Eastern Shore. So I'm not looking forward to that, but okay, I got to travel about 3 hours to get there. And we were going to spend the night down there, but we are going to my in-laws' house on that Sunday for a Christmas with my wife's other aunt. So, and my wife didn't tell me that she was not expecting our kids to go down to this party. So Noelle, my daughter, is going to be having a sleepover with a friend of hers. And Noah, my wife, is going to kind of force him to do a Cub Scout camping trip. I don't know if that's going to go over too well, but we'll see if she can convince him. I don't know how I feel about that, but okay. So I have no idea when I'm going to do my show next week, and that Monday is going to be Martin Luther King Day and the shitty inauguration day. That's also when we're supposed to start getting the polar vortex temperature. So next weekend is looking like shit. So we'll see what happens. Just more shit in my life right now. Oh, well, we're not here to talk about that. We're going to talk about some good stuff. Tom Holland and Zendaya are officially engaged. Zendaya showed off her fancy engagement ring. Not coming right out and doing it. She was there for the Golden Globes last Sunday and getting photographs, stuff like that. And people started noticing this massive rock on her ring finger, which she hasn't had on. So they're assuming that it was an engagement ring, and then it's been pretty much all but verified that they are indeed engaged. And I hope that they last as long as like a Goldie Hawn and a Kurt Russell, or a Sarah Michelle Gellar and a Freddie Prinze Jr., who've been together forever and are continue to be a successful Hollywood couple, because they really are perfect for each other, and they've been going together for close to 6 years now. So hopefully it's a good sign. So congratulations to them. As I said, the Ravens won their playoff game. That's another good thing that happened. They absolutely annihilated the Steelers 28-14. And a really good game. That was a lot of fun to watch, though it got stressful in the third quarter, but it was still a lot of fun to watch. So we'll move on to the next one. Let's see what happens with that. So that's good also. After much problems getting it started, and lots of issues with former cast members and stuff like that, Scream 7, directed by Kevin Williamson, who created the Scream franchise, will be directing it, and it started production this week, so this past week. So it is presently filming Scream 7 right now, so that's good on that. So it's another good thing. Let's see anything else good coming up. Cole Meany, most popularly known here in the States as Miles O'Brien from Star Trek Next Generation and Star Trek Deep Space Nine, is getting an Irish Academy Lifetime Achievement Award at the Irish Academy Awards this year. Cole Meany is an Irish actor who is more famous in Ireland, obviously, for more of the roles he's done there, hence the Lifetime Achievement Award. And a couple of his movies became popular over here, Irish movies, but he is a huge star over in Ireland, and he's a big genre star over here, and he's one of the nicest guys out there. So good job. Congratulations to Cole Meany on that. Daredevil Born Again is set to drop March 4th on Disney Plus, the first of many, many huge streaming TV shows. Lots of dates are being posted, and I'll be having a lot of those coming up here during the show here. Also, good news, Minecraft is getting a new pig, finally. You've only had the one pink pig now. They've added a couple more different pigs, so fans of Minecraft now get their choice of pigs. Here's another one. Welcome to Derry, the prequel about Pennywise that will star one of the Skarsgård brothers, who was Pennywise in the It movies, is set to debut in September on Max, which is the absolutely perfect date to premiere, since it's probably like a 9 or 10 episode series, and it'll take it into October for Halloween. So good on that. So that's another one. That's a huge streaming for 2025. I got to start writing these down because there's a lot of shit coming out here. This is a weird story. The Sims, the hugely popular computer game, is releasing a board game. And I'm not exactly sure how you're going to do a Sims board game, but here we are. Scientists recover a 1.2 million year old ice core from Antarctica. That way they can test the water and stuff like that, and any organisms in there from 1.2 million years ago. Kind of like looking up at the sky and seeing the stars right now. Speaking of looking up into the sky, the full wolf moon drops on January 13th, which is tomorrow. And something really interesting is going to happen. Right now, Mars is at opposition to the sun. It's lined up perfectly with Earth. If you were ever going to launch a mission to Mars, you'd want to do it so that you get there, during this opposition where they're the closest they're going to be all year to each other. And because of that, because of this full moon, the way it's just timed right out on the 13th of January, when the full wolf moon comes out, if you've been watching the skies over a period of a few hours, you will see the moon as it moves across the sky eat up Mars, because Mars is in the night sky right now. It's a big, bright red star because we are so closer to it now. And the moon, the full moon, will be what they call occultation, which is the Mars is, this is the moon and this is Mars. The moon will go like this, and it'll, I'm sorry, go this way, will come in front of Mars if you watch it over a period of a few hours as the moon moves across the sky. So that's kind of cool. Pokemon coffee, which when I first heard about that, I thought, oh, that's a great idea. Have coffee and name it after Pokemon and have them be different, flavors and stuff like that. That like is like, what you think of when you think of like a Pokemon. It gives you sort of that flavor, like, a Pikachu roast, which sounds disgusting because it sounds like you're roasting Pokemon Pikachu to eat, but it would be like, an electric, give you a little sort of an electric, excited, high caffeine sort of feel. And then you might have like Slack Off, which is a sloth-like Pokemon. You could have that. It could be a lower caffeine one, but have a nice relaxing flavor to it, that kind of thing. And that's the sort of thing when a few years ago I was trying to create my pop culture coffee business, and that was one of the ideas I had, was to name the coffees different pop culture stuff and sort of get the flavor so that it would be like those things. So, but it's not like that. The Japan's biggest coffee company, it comes in those metal cans. What they're going to be doing is they're in partnership with the Pokemon group. They're going to be taping a Pokemon trading card, limited edition Pokemon trading card you can only get with the purchase of the coffee. And there's probably going to be different flavors and different ones, different cards. You're going to want to buy them all, catch them all, see what I did there. But it is one of the most popular Japanese coffees. It's not going to be here in America, but at least that's kind of neat. So that's kind of a cool little story about that as well. Football wise, the Browns, the Jets, and the Jags, great group of teams there, are all going to be playing in England in the new 2025-2026 season upcoming in September of later this year. So they've already set those three. So the Ravens, I think the only team they play, let's see, the home team would be, because those are all the home teams. I think it's just the Browns is a potential that we could go over there, but I don't think they usually are going to do divisional stuff over in England because it wouldn't be fair to either team. Let's see, this is home opponents. Yes, we're playing the Jets at home, so it wouldn't be, these are all home games for the Jaguars and Jets and Browns. So the only team we could potentially play would be the Browns in England, but I don't think that's going to happen because, as I said, I don't think they do divisional games over there. So we're looking out then, I guess. It'll probably be the Browns and the Jaguars will be playing a game there, and that's what the Jaguars are going to do there for 2 weeks like they usually do. You never want to see anybody get hurt. But Deshaun Watson, the quarterback of the Cincinnati Browns, is kind of a piece of shit, to be honest. Accused of sexually, not really assaulting, but abusing maybe 26 massage therapists who he wouldn't get massages at the team facilities. He would go to a local massage therapy place with beautiful women massagists and then expect a happy ending every time and try to get them to, massage his cock and suck on it and jump on it and bounce on it and stuff like that. And he paid them all off, so he didn't get any jail time or busted for any of that. But we all know that it happened. And then the Browns paid him this obscene amount of money because he really wasn't worth it, where it was all guaranteed money, which put a damper in the Lamar Jackson sweepstakes when the Ravens were trying to re-up him in his contract. But we were able to convince him not to forego the completely guaranteed money, and we're better for it. But Deshaun Watson fucked everything up. He played okay for his first year, but not to the level of his contract, and he's been hurt the last 3 or 4 years and has not played at all to the update of to his contract. Then he renegotiated his contract, though he still guaranteed all that money, but it was going to be, spreading it out more so that it won't damage the Browns cap stuff this year. But then on his recovery from his most recent injury, he re-tears his Achilles, which means he will not be playing football for the Browns next year, more than likely. Or if it is, it'll be late in the next season. So the Browns are in a little bit of a pickle right now because Cleveland fans don't like him. His teammates really don't like him either. They think he gives up, and he's given up a couple times and stuff like that. And as a good example of is when the Ravens came in to play the Browns in Cleveland, Deshaun Watson had just injured himself the week before, and he was going to be out for the rest of the season. So they brought in Jameis Winston, who immediately became a fan favorite till he sucked after about 5 games. But at that time, he was a huge fan favorite, and they had just lost their longtime announcer a few days before this Ravens game that everybody loved. So the Cleveland Browns team was now amped up with the new quarterback who they don't hate, and they want to win for their fans because of this beloved announcer. And they beat the Ravens in Cleveland, which was unexpected at that time because the Ravens had been playing good ball at that time. It just goes to show you that the team played so much better when Deshaun Watson wasn't on the field until Jameis Winston started shitting the bed, but they still didn't bitch and moan and complain as much as they did when Deshaun Watson was there. So, again, I've given you my theory about what the Browns need to do to stop being a snake-bitten team. They are refusing to allow Art Modell into the NFL Hall of Fame, even though he absolutely deserves to, not just because he brought the Browns to Baltimore and turned them into the Ravens. That's one part of it. But he was a huge presence in the NFL in the 60s and 70s and 80s and into the early 90s, where he decided to move with the Browns, and as a well-loved owner of the team. The fans actually loved him till he moved the team. He was always reached out to after the Colts left. The Baltimore Colts marching band still was around. He reached out to them to come and do halftime shows at the Cleveland Browns games. He brought the Cleveland Browns to Baltimore for an exhibition game during the preseason before we had the Ravens. So he brought them to Baltimore as an exhibition game. Didn't need to. It was a game like it was the Browns versus the Dolphins, something like that, exhibition game for preseason. And he said, let's move it to Baltimore and give these fans some football. And he wasn't at that time thinking I'm going to move the team to Baltimore because he was still happy in Cleveland. So that wasn't that. He was just doing it out of the kindness of his own heart. He's was well loved in Cleveland, gave lots of money to charities in the area, set up all kinds of stuff for the poor and stuff like that. And then when Cleveland refused to give him money to fix up a stadium, he didn't want a new stadium. He just wanted a little extra money to upgrade his stadium. The Indians, now the Guardians, just got a brand new stadium. The Cavaliers got a new arena, and they built the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame on Cleveland. So he's like, isn't there a little bit of money for us? We need to refurbish our stadium because it's falling apart. And they're like, what are you going to do? Move? You suck. We're not going to give you any money. So just go out there and play football, bitch. And he said, well, fuck you, and went to Baltimore. And then all that, like, oh my God, he stabbed us in the heart. And the other was like, oh, okay, we'll give you a team in 3 years. It took 13 years for the Ravens to get their team. That's neither here nor there. So when Art Modell came up to be in the Hall of Fame, as you know, because they have more than just players in there, they need to go in, I think, unanimously or something like that. And there's always the Cleveland press people who vote on the MVP on the Hall of Fame refuse to allow him in there. And I think if you it's like, dude, you got a team in 3 years. Your team has sucked. That's not our problem. You need to figure that out. That's not our fucking problem. But the reason why you sucked is because your karma's biting you on the ass because you weren't giving him any money and you were laughing in his face about giving him money. He wasn't asking for a new fucking stadium. He was asking to repair and build some new boxes to get a little bit extra money in there, refurbish the locker rooms, get some maybe new sound system and media stuff up there. It was not that big of a deal. I mean, yeah, it's a lot of money, but he wasn't asking for a whole fucking new stadium. He just wanted to refurbish the one he had, and they laughed at him. And it was like, well, then I'm going to move on elsewhere. And then, as I said, the NFL's bent over backwards to get them a team in 3 years. And we had to suffer for 13. So I don't want to fucking hear it. And then they're still bitching about that because their team sucks. And so because they were dicks to him and doing all this stuff to him and refusing to, and taking his name off of stuff that he, that they loved having him in there for and stuff like that. He died. He passed away. They didn't give a rat's ass. They said they were going to go and they were going to find his cemetery plot. They were going to spit on it, pee on it, and poop on it because Cleveland fans are a bunch of whiny little bitch babies. And not all of them, but a lot of them were. And their team keeps sucking and keeps being snake bit. They made the playoffs a couple years ago, got defeated, and then they had the whole Deshaun Watson shit. Their team has just sucked. They were 0-16 one year. They're just a terrible team, terribly run team. Again, not our fault. You need to find the right people to run your team. But I guarantee you, if you decide to vote him into the Hall of Fame, I guarantee you that Karma's going to say, see, how hard was that? And then you're going to go on and you're going to be successful. You're going to win more games. You're going to have a good quarterback. You're going to have a good team, might potentially win more playoff games, and might even get to your first fucking Super Bowl. If we just stop being little whiny bitches about Art Modell. That's my theory, and I'm sticking to it. So they have to now make a decision, is that he's going to be out for the year. They have their backups. They have Jameis Winston is terrible, and their other backups are just as terrible as him. They have to decide if they're going to are they just going to drop everything and get a new quarterback in there and either throw him in right away, which is another big mistake, or maybe suffer through one more year with Jameis Winston at the helm, or get another veteran like bring Joe Flacco back, or get another veteran QB who might get released during training camp or before then, or during free agency or whatever. Get someone to come in here for a couple years to get the team and draft a QB and be a mentor to the young QB. And then, tell them full force, we're only going to hire you for about 3 years. We're going to sign you for a 2 to 3 year contract. You're going to come in, you're going to be the starter, but you're going to be training, you're going to be mentoring our quarterback stud who's going to replace you. And in a couple years, if everything goes according to plan, that's not going to happen either, but we'll see what happens. But they've got some decisions to make. So depending on how you look at it, I mean, I don't want anybody to ever get hurt, but he is a piece of shit. Deshaun Watson is. And he really almost destroyed the NFL with his greed. So, and he's not worth it too. Anything else bright and cheerful before we, again, this is just coming from an anti-Steelers event because Ravens-Steelers is one of the greatest rivalries in NFL football, despite what Jerry Rice says or other NFL pundits. The majority of NFL pundits agree that the Ravens-Steelers are the biggest rivalry probably in the NFL. And it was much bigger, obviously, in the 2010s when this whole big thing sort of happened, and was a big deal when Harbaugh took over and became a huge, just, the Ed Reeds and Troy Polamalu's and Ray Lewis's and Ben Roethlisberger's going at each other, and really made it a huge rivalry. And both Pittsburgh and Baltimore are behind it. They believe that it truly is one of the best rivalries in football. They begrudgingly respect each other. We do. Pittsburgh and Baltimore are very similar in cities and blue-collar cities, and our teams are very similar. And there's respect. Once the game is over, there's hugs. Like the best thing I saw last night was Patrick Queen, who was a former Raven who went to the Steelers and was blasting the Ravens all during the preseason, and got his just desserts. At the end of the game, after they lost and the Ravens had kicked him out, he went up to Lamar and was like talking to him like face to face, like his head was on Lamar's head, and it wasn't mean spirited. He was just like chit chatting. They were having they were friends. They were on the same team for 3 to 4 years, and he was hugging. They were hugging each other, and they were just talking real close. And Tomlin and Harbaugh have respect for each other. They gave each other hugs at the end of the game, and just there was the uniform, the jersey trades. It's fun, and that's what it was. There was a great Ray Lewis, Ben Roethlisberger hype video before the game, talking about the rivalry, and it gives you chills, and that's what I love about it, is that Pittsburgh fans despise Baltimore fans as much as Baltimore fans despise Pittsburgh fans. And if you went to the Steelers and said, "Who's your biggest fucking rival?" They're going to say the fucking Ravens, and the Baltimore people say, "Who's your biggest rival?" They say the fucking Steelers. We know that we are each other's rivals. And so when stuff like this happens, you got to have a little Schadenfreude. A bunch of Steelers fans who I guess went to the game because the Steelers do have a really good traveling fan base. A couple of Steelers fans who went to the game end up fighting each other the outside of M&T Bank Stadium last night after the Steelers lost. They were Steelers fans fighting each other. They weren't Steelers fans fighting Ravens fans. They were Steelers fans fighting Steelers fans. Like, I don't know, maybe one guy said Tomlin sucks ass, sucks donkey balls, needs to leave, and the other guy says, "You shut your fucking mouth, I'm going to rip your head off. Tomlin's a great, coach," and that's what maybe started it. I don't know, but it's fucking hilarious to see stuff like that all the time. So that's wonderful. One more kind of goodish thing before, one more kind of goodish thing. Here before we get into some of the more harsh stuff that happened this week. A while back, it was announced that there was going to be a Jesus film called The King of Kings, and Oscar Isaac was going to star in it as Jesus. And there's another live action Jesus film that was being filmed at the same time. It was like, are you really going to have competing Jesus films coming out soon? And we finally got our trailer drop for The King of Kings with Oscar Isaac. Oscar Isaac is playing Jesus, but only his voice. It is an animated movie set to debut on Good Friday. Actually, no, the week before. The week before Good Friday. It's April 11th, which Easter's on 4/20 this year, which is hilarious, by the way. And it's also the same day as Orthodox Easter, which usually doesn't happen all that often. But yeah, it's coming out April 11th in movie theaters, so that gives it a week. Palm Sunday will be that Sunday, and then it's going to be Holy Week. So it's actually the perfect time. Spring break starts for kids on that day. So it's like the perfect time to release a film about Jesus. It's animated. The animation looks really, really good. And apparently Charles Dickens wrote a book called The King of Kings about Jesus. And this is an adaptation of it because the trailer came out this week. The movie looks like it's Charles Dickens telling the story of Jesus to his son. And you got to hear this voice cast. My fucking God. I mean, I'm almost worth it just to go see this film. It looks like a good, just a really good Jesus film, animated film that covers his whole life from his birth to his death to his resurrection. It looks phenomenal. It doesn't look like it's going to do like what that racist fuck Mel Gibson did with that racist piece of shit movie about Jesus, The Passion of the Christ, blaming the Jewish people for that and calling Jewish people completely evil, and having issues because Mel Gibson is a fucking loser shitbag. But this looks like it's just going to be a straight up adaptation of Jesus's life in animated form. And my God, the animation looks gorgeous. And listen to this fucking voice cast. All right. The aforementioned Oscar Isaac is going to be playing Jesus. And I didn't really catch who all the other characters are going to be, except Kenneth Branagh is Charles Dickens. His son is played by Roman Griffin Davis, who was Jojo and Jojo Rabbit. And then the rest, I couldn't tell you who they were because they just sort of jumped around. I think Uma Thurman is going to play Mary. Mark Hamill is like one of these. I don't know exactly what he was. Pierce Brosnan, Forrest Whitaker, Ben Kingsley. This is a fucking stacked vocal cast. And it's a gorgeously animated Jesus film, and it actually looks really, really good and really, really entertaining, and I might have to check it out. Buffalo wins 31-7. There go Ravens are going to be playing Buffalo, playing the Bills in Buffalo next week. So it looks fucking phenomenal, and it's crazy. I've been seeing trailers lately for films. I'm just sort of like, holy shit! I never would have thought about these movies, and now I'm just sort of like, Might be pretty cool to watch. So King of Kings, if you get a second, check it out. But this voice cast is absolutely fucking stacked. And it looks like, as I said, it looks like just a straight up adaptation of like the Gospels of Jesus. It covers all the stuff you expect, from him being born in the manger to him, at the wedding of Cana, raising the dead, the wine and the fish, his preaching, the Palm Sunday, the Passion, and then his resurrection, the walking on the water. All that is in this movie, and it's like, that's fucking phenomenal. And I'm really excited to see it, because it looks like it's just going to be straight up just a great adaptation of an interesting story, and with a fucking stacked voice cast. So King of Kings, check out the trailer. And now it makes more sense. It's like, Oscar Isaac as Jesus? What? And then it's just like, oh, gotcha. So starting to get into some bad stuff. We'll start low and then we'll head up. Shrek 5 has been delayed from July 1st, 2026 to December 23rd, 2026. This, in turn, opens up the door for Minions 3, which was not set to debut until May of 2027. It is now jumping to July 1st, 2026, taking the place of Shrek here. And then the other Illumination movie, which they haven't said what it is yet, that had a date of sometime later in the 27th, has now moved up to take the Minions 3 place in the May 2027 slot. So some more shuffling of stuff is going to be happening. Real quick before we get into that stuff, because the Golden Globes is just a big part. It's not bad. That's just a big part. A lot of award stuff is going to be pushed back now. The PGA is pushing back its announcement of their nominations by a few days. The announcement of the Oscar nominations was supposed to be out on Friday, have now been pushed to next Monday. So that's given them a few more days to vote due to the wildfires in LA, which is where we're going to start right now. The biggest news of this week is the wildfires in Los Angeles. I remember in 2020, that awful shit year, started with massive wildfires in Australia, and in turn created one of the worst years in the history of mankind. And now 2025, which last week I detailed all the shit stuff that happened at the beginning of the week, is now creating this big fire thing right now. It's a massive fire, huge destructive fire that's destroyed more square footage than Central Park. Many, and I'll get into, I have stories spread throughout my whole notes here. So many celebrities have lost their homes. Many regular people have lost their homes. And what's sort of causing it is last year, California was inundated with rain. So they were overflowing with rain. They had tons of rain. And then it like stopped. And then it's been drought for like the last year and a half now, since the rains, that massive amount of rain stopped. So now everything was already kind of dry as it is. And then the name of this episode is Bad Wind. The Santa Ana winds, which is one of the worst winds that hits California every year, bringing gusts of 80 miles per hour, were getting ready to hit California at this time. And they were freaking out because they figured the dryness and this wind is going to cause massive fire if something happens. And sure enough, something happened, sparks, something lit. And it started in Palisades, which is still the biggest one out there, and is the one that is slowly but surely getting contained, but it's going to take a while. I'll give you the list of what the most recent numbers are for that. And the winds aren't helping any, because you've got 80-mile-per-hour winds. You've got fire already starting. You bring these winds in, it's going to blow that shit way, way down the way. That's why the fires are so big, is because of this wind. One area in the LA area has had marked a 206 mile per hour wind gust. So that's not causing that's not helping any. Those winds on top of the massive fires have also started to create fire tornadoes, which are starting to ravage the Palisades area even more, which is the hardest hit area of the California right now is the Palisades fire. So the good news, and so our first responder firefighters are going out of there to go all out and been working their asses off, and they deserve all the praise in the world. Mexico and Canada, despite what the fucking lunatic who's going to be president in a couple weeks has been saying about invading them and saying terrible things about them, have been sending people to help us with their fires. Convicts who are firefighters are being sent in also to help out. Africa has been sending some in. Zelensky over in Ukraine says we'll spare what we can, but we're going to send some over to help you guys. So we're getting help, but because we have lunatics in charge, very soon they're going to fuck it all up. We're going to just have to hope and pray that this gets taken care of. It's also happy that we have President Biden in office because he absolutely gave emergency money to California to take care of stuff and is willing to continue doing that stuff. When that fucking convicted felon, lunatic, shitbag, a-hole, dick face motherfucker comes in, he ain't going to do that. He's going to take away their money, and that's going to destroy Americans because he's an anti-American fuckbag. Let me see if I can find that. This was from this morning. There it is. Current fire containment. This was from 21 hours ago. It's probably gotten better at this point, but so far there's 6 areas in Los Angeles who have been hit with fires. First, the good news: the Sunset Boulevard area has 100% contained. The Lydia is 100% contained, up from 75% from Friday. Hearst is 76% contained, up from 37% contained previous day. Kenneth is 76% contained, up from 35% contained. Now, the biggest ones, Palisades is only 11% contained, up from 8%, but it is getting better, but it's going to take a while for that one to get shut down. And Eaton is 15% contained, up from 3%. So those two, Eaton and Palisades, are the two shittiest ones right now. Let me see if Jules has updated it yet. She has not updated it yet. There probably isn't anything to update just yet. So she'll probably update, because it looks like she updated something on Friday. So it's like she's going to update it a little bit later now, here soon. So so there we go. So there's that. So that's been the big story. Massive amount of damage to Los Angeles. Friends of mine who live out there have all reported they're safe. They have not had to be evacuated, so they're in a safer location, but lots and lots of people have. And these fires are massive, and they're just getting worse because of the winds and the dryness. But things are progressing, as you can see, and hopefully things will get better here soon in a little bit. But continuing with that sort of stuff, there's still a bunch of, the fucking MAGA Republican shitbags are saying it's the, God's will destroying California because of the liberals living there, which is a bunch of bullshit. Also, they are avidly hoping that California gets utterly destroyed, not caring about other people except for themselves, because they're told that California is bad and they need to vote against them because they're fucking brainless, mindless pieces of shit, uneducated cult. We're a bunch of fuckbags who don't know anything because they're stupid fuckers. God damn it, I hate them. So in order to continue their hatred towards California and the liberals who live there, a drone actually grounded an LA firefighter plane. So a plane that was actively fighting fire, so more people don't lose their lives, more animals don't lose their lives, more property doesn't get damaged, more land doesn't get damaged. They literally took a drone and knocked the plane out of the sky and grounded it without them being able to help stop this fire. And also there's arsonists going around and they're setting fires to help continue it and make it a constant fire, which is a bunch of fucking bullshit, insanity. What the fuck are you doing? My God, I hate this world right now. I hate everything about this timeline. I wish something would just get done and just wipe all those fuckers out. So more to come with that. I'll have some names of celebrities who have gotten some of their houses burned down. I'll give you a good example. The fucking MAGA shitbag James Woods, who used to be a decent actor, but now is just a whiny little bitch, first came out and said that his house was destroyed by the fire and that he can't believe, the liberal California people didn't work better to help save his house. And then it turns out, oh, wait, my house is okay. So all the shit he was saying that was anti-liberal, anti-Governor Newsom, all that stuff, he didn't even apologize for it. Turned out not to be true. His house is still around, unlike a lot of other people, you fucking asshole shitbag, who are homeless, you dumb fuck. Some sort of reality star, I forget what the fucker's name is threatening to sue the city of Los Angeles $3 million after his house burned down. Why don't you go suck your own balls, you fucking piece of shit reality star? You're nothing. You're a joke. Fuck off. God damn it. I hate this. So more to come when it comes to the fires. Snow hit here in Maryland, not as bad as the fires. They were saying that we up here where I am, we were going to get probably 4 to 6 inches is what they were calling for. We ended up getting about 3 inches, so it underperformed for us. And the South, where my sister lives, they got about 6 to 9 inches of snow. And I can't blame Justin Burke for this because he's been running for like 2 weeks. He was talking about how none of the models are adding up. But he knows, he's predicting which one he thinks he agreed with. And he basically got it right. The European model had the storm heading further south, which would make more snow to the south and less snow to the north. And that's actually what happened to us. So it underperformed for us, but school was closed for 2 days. And then the kids went in Wednesday after a 2-hour delay. My wife and I took Monday off when the snow was still happening because at that time we had no idea how much snow was going to come. It was supposed to come in 2 waves. So we thought that it would be a little problematic. Turns out that only like 5 people showed up at my work anyway. So I wasn't like the only one who did. And it was like the majority of the business didn't show up for work on Monday. I did go in on Tuesday and Wednesday and so on and so forth. And then, as I said, overperformed down south. My sister got, as I said, 6 to 9 inches. We only got about 3 inches up here. So they kept saying, well, it's going to be the first time you've had 6 inches of snow in your area for like close to 10 years. Nope, we didn't get that either. So not the biggest snowfall at all. This was just a moderate snowfall, nothing too major. Then they were calling for another snowfall to hit on Friday into Saturday. Actually, it was supposed to be Saturday, but then they shifted to Friday night when they were looking at the models. And the models at first were saying it could be another big one. But then eventually they all fell into line and went and said, nah, it's not going to be that big. And it wasn't. We got barely an inch, if that, maybe an inch. My wife was camping a little further north of us this weekend with the Scouts. They got an additional 1.5 inches. So that really wasn't anything. And that happened overnight, Friday night to Saturday. So I actually, after the kids went to bed Friday night and my wife was camping, I stayed up a little bit to look at my phone. And then I was, Pepper jumped in my lap and curled up there. So I was just going to sit there for a while, maybe take a little bit of a nap. This is about 11:30. And then I woke myself up and it was 1 o'clock. So I had fallen asleep for an hour and a half with the cat on my lap. So I was like, oh man, I'm so freaking tired. I got to go upstairs and go to bed. So knowing that the storm was going to start sometime overnight Friday, I went to the front of the house and I'm shutting off the lights and stuff like that and looked outside. And sure enough, there was a snow coming down. It looked very pretty. And then, as I said, it stopped very early on Saturday morning. And then everything's been cleared out now. We have full frontal sun on our house, so all of our stuff has been melting really, really good lately. And we've had bad cold temperatures, but it hasn't really caused any major icing issues. So there's that. Crocodiles in Indonesia have learned how to fake drowning to lure humans to try to rescue them. They had a picture of one where he's on his back and his little hands are reaching up. It looks like it could be a kid's hands. And so people are going to see that from a distance and think, oh shit, there's a baby or a child drowning. So they're going to jump into the water to try to save it in Indonesia. And they get out there and this crocodile goes, haha, fucker, and eats them. So that's terrifying. It's similar to the picture I saw of, there's an Australian guy that says, if you ever see a kangaroo that's up to his water, up to his neck, don't go in there and try to save him. He's going to try to drown you. It's a plot to get people to, so they can drown them, because kangaroos are fuck bags also. So for now, that's all the bad stuff I got on this page. As I said, the fire stuff has been spread out over the week, so I'll have other fire news, later on in the show. But real quick, I finally saw my first movie I'd never seen before. Beginning of this year already. My daughter is stage managing her high school production of Chicago, and she's been wanting to see the film version of it. So I bought the film version of it for her for Christmas, and we watched it last week. I think it was last Thursday, maybe, or last Tuesday or something like that. It was in there somewhere. And I loved it. I absolutely loved the movie. It absolutely deserved all the Oscar accolades that it got. And it's good to see what the musical's about, because I will be able to then watch it with my daughter she's going to be stage managing, but we'll go and we'll see it when the high school performs it, and I'll know the songs and the storyline. And then my daughter and I are going to go see Hippodrome, which is our local theater group who is doing a traveling version of Chicago, is coming to town for a week in June. We got her tickets for her birthday, so my daughter and I are going to go to that. So I'll be seeing Chicago 3 times this year. I saw the movie. The movie's fantastic. If you've never seen the movie, definitely check it out. Very good. Richard Gere is phenomenal as Billy Flynn. Almost perfect. Queen Latifah is perfect in her role. I forget his name. John Riley is really good as a Cellophane Man. Renee Zellweger was decent, and oh God, Michael Douglas's wife. Oh God, it's killing me. She won the Oscar too. Chicago. I hate being stupid. Catherine Zeta-Jones. Yep. Renee Zellweger was decent as the lead. Catherine Zeta-Jones was good in supporting role. She won the Oscar for that. Richard Gere was phenomenal as Billy Flynn. John C. Reilly was great as Amos. Queen Latifah was great as Matron. Christine Baranski was in it, I love Christine Baranski, so she's awesome. Taye Diggs was great as the band leader. He popped up, periodically. He was decent. Dominic West as the main bad guy was Lucy Liu was decent, her minor role. So just a lot of interesting. Colm Fiore was good. So got some good stuff here. So it's as I said, decent movie. If you have not seen it yet, I highly recommend it. Definitely. So now's the time we do the Golden Globes. The Golden Globes are not always a view about what's going to win the Oscars, because they do fine, whatever. Hold on. Stupid search stuff is being stupid. So Golden Globes are the critics, the Foreign Critics Association. So they tend to focus more on more foreign films and other films that are decent, but might not be what American voters are going to choose, stuff like that. As I said, though, a lot of these ones you see on here, a lot of the nominations, stuff like that, you'll see them, and I'm sure one of the ones is going to win the Oscars as well. But there was some really good, and plus they split it up into drama and musical comedy as well. So you have, they have 10 movies, but half are comedy and musicals, half are just drama. So instead of where the Oscars has all 10 is like all dramas usually. So that's kind of good too. So you get all that mixed together. You got different actors and actresses. So you get a general idea. These winners are not necessarily going to be the same winners that are going to win all the other awards. And you'll start seeing a trend when you see who starts winning the other awards, like the SAG Awards, PGA Awards, the Directors Guild Awards, and the other awards that are out there. Once you see that, you'll start seeing patterns and a trend, and you'll be like, okay, I know who's going to win this. That's how you're able to pick who the Oscar winners are. Plus, but this is a good sign of who's going to be nominated, who has the potential to win, and we'll see what happens. So there's a couple surprises in here, and again, they also do TV as well. So here we go. I'm going to run through these real quick. Best Drama Motion Picture was The Brutalist, which really doesn't interest me at all, but it seems to be getting a lot of buzz. So Whoopi, another film I could give a rat's ass about doing that. Actress in a Drama Motion Picture, Fernanda Torres for I'm Still Here. All right, never heard of that before. Best Musical or Comedy Motion Picture, Amelia Perez. I've heard good things about that, but I've also heard really, really bad things about that. Actor in a Drama Motion Picture, Adrian Brody for The Brutalist. Adrian Brody already won the Oscar for one, so we'll see if he continues that. Best Supporting Actress in a Musical Comedy, Zoe Saldana for Amelia Perez. Best Actress in a Musical Comedy, Demi Moore for The Substance. That's interesting. Best Animated Feature Film was Flow, which I gave a review of a couple weeks ago. Decent film. Best Supporting Actor in a Motion Picture Drama, Kieran Culkin for Real Pain, which I hope Kieran wins for the Oscar because I love Kieran. I always have. Best Original Song was El Mal, I guess, from Amelia Perez. Best Screenplay of a Motion Picture was Conclave. Best Actor in a Musical Comedy was Sebastian Stan for A Different Man. Best Cinematic and Box Office winner was Wicked. The Carol Burnett Award went to Ted Danson. The Cecil B. DeMille Award went to Viola Davis. Director of Motion Picture, Brady Corbett for The Brutalist. Best Original Score, Challengers, Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross. Best Foreign Language Film, Amelia Perez. Best Actress, and that was the movies, yeah, and now we're doing the TV. Best Actress in a Drama TV Series, Anna Sawai for Shogun. Best Drama TV Series, Shogun. Best Actor in a Drama TV Series, Hiroyuki Sanada for Shogun. Actress in a Musical or Comedy, Jean Smart, who's won forever for Hacks. Best Miniseries or TV Film, Baby Reindeer. Best Actor in a Miniseries, Colin Farrell for The Penguin. Male Actor in a Supporting Role, Tadanobu Asano for Shogun. Best Female Actor in a Supporting Role, Jessica Gunning for Baby Reindeer. Best Actress in a Miniseries, Jodie Foster for True Detective Night Country. Best Musical or Comedy TV Show, Hacks. Best Actor in a Musical Comedy, Jeremy Allen White, who's won forever for The Bear. And Best Stand-Up Comedy on Television, Ali Wong for Ali Wong, Single Lady. So that's it. So Amelia Perez and The Brutalist getting early love here. They'll probably get nominated for the Oscars. Demi Moore winning for The Substance is a very interesting look to see how that's going to come out. I love the fact that Kieran Culkin won Best Supporting Actor. I hope he continues to win that because I'd love to see Kieran win an Academy Award. That'd be awesome. So good on that for them. So there's your Golden Globe winners. More to come eventually. Anniversaries. Fraggle Rock came out 42 years ago this week. I watched it when it first came out. The Sopranos came out 26 years ago this week. So 2 HBO shows are history this week. Deaths, we have Rory Sykes, child actor who died at the age of 32 in one of the California fires. Sam Moore, blues musician and influenced the Blues Brothers, wrote the song Soul Man and Hold On, I'm Coming, both of which were in Blues Brothers. Felix Mantilla, a baseball player, utility baseball player, died at the age of 90. Bill McConkey, former Colorado coach, is the last coach to take the Colorado Buffaloes football team to the national championship. He died at 84. Bill Burgee, who is a fan favorite, supporting actor from the Ernest Goes to Whatever movies, died at the age of 92. And Michael Schlesinger, VP at Sony, died at the age of 75. Page 2. A ski group triggers a avalanche in the Grand Teton National Park, killing one. That was kind of a terrible thing that sort of happened this week. 16 dead in the LA fires. Many celebrities lost houses. A few that lost them: Mel Gibson, Anthony Hopkins, Ricky Lake, Haley Joel Osment, Billy Crystal, Paris Hilton, Mandy Moore are just some of the few who lost houses. Jamie Lee Curtis believes she probably lost her house as well. So we'll see if that ends up being true. Coleman Domingo has been cast in The Running Man as the villain. I think I talked about that last week. Denmark to plan new ships and have more dog sled patrols in Greenland after that fucking lunatic who's going to be our president has said he wants to buy Greenland from Denmark, which is a bunch of bullshit, and also wants to turn Canada into the 51st state. Bunch of bullshit there, too. Just shut the fuck up and go away and just fucking die, you piece of shit. The whole fucking MAGA party just got to go the fuck away and just die. What the fuck did I write here? Oh, Marvin Harrison and his son Marvin Harrison Jr., both football players, both wide receivers, their rookie stats. So the rookie stats for Marvin Harrison and rookie stats for Marvin Harrison Jr., whose rookie year finished this year, are almost dead on identical, which is one of the weirdest things you're ever going to see, which means if Marvin Harrison Jr. can continue to be the same as his dad, he's going to be a fucking beast when it comes to future football career. Lego Game Boy, they just did a teaser for this. It's set to come out in October 2025. Don't know if it's going to be a Game Boy made out of Lego, or is it going to just be a Game Boy model that you make out of Lego that you can put with all your other Lego stuff? Don't know. It's due out October 2025, which leads me to believe that's probably going to be maybe a workable Game Boy, but in Lego format, which is kind of weird, but okay. We'll go with that. Game of Thrones actor Rory McCann, who played the Mountain, is set to take over Ray Stevenson's role in Ahsoka Season 2. Ray Stevenson passed away shortly after filming Ahsoka Season 1, and he's a major character, and they can't just write him out, so they recast the role with Rory McCann, who played the Mountain in Game of Thrones. So good on that for them. We talked about Tom Holland getting engaged to Zendaya. Tom Holland has also done something that we haven't thought we needed for a while. Do you remember back in the 90s when John Grisham adaptations and movies just went off? You know, Tom Cruise in The Firm, and Julia Roberts and Denzel in The Pelican Brief, and Susan Sarandon and Tommy Lee Jones in The Client, and then Matt Damon was in The Rainmaker, and Chris O'Donnell and Gene Hackman were in The Chamber, and Hoffman and John Cusack were in Runaway Jury, and just all of these, and then McConaughey in the a Day to Kill, or a Fine Day to a View to a Kill, or whatever that is, with Sandra Bullock and Ashley Judd. You know, they were huge. I mean, if you got into Grisham was it's still a huge, I don't think he's as huge as he was in the 90s, but he was a huge writer, made tons of money. He's up there with Stephen King, money-wise, and all of his books were getting adapted into TV shows and movies and stuff like that, and they were all fairly decent and making some good money. And then it just sort of disappeared. He's still been writing lawyer stuff, but no one has really decided they want to adapt any of his stuff really anymore, until Tom Holland is bringing back maybe the beginning of a new era of John Grisham adaptations, as he has signed on to star in and produce an adaptation of John Grisham's thriller, The Practice. Now, if you don't much know about The Practice, this is going to be, if he's going to star in it, he's going to be playing kind of a morally gray character, which is going to be really interesting for Tom Holland, because I think he played one sort of similar role when he did that miniseries for like Peacock or something like that, but or FX or something like that. But it's going to be interesting to see him in a John Grisham role, and to be honest, he absolutely fits the profile. If you think about early McConaughey and Tom Cruise and Chris O'Donnell and stuff like that, you know, and Matt Damon back then when he was young. Now, Denzel was already a, solid actor, and Julia was still pretty solid at that time when Pelican Brief hit, which is still my favorite Grisham adaptation. But it's still fun to see that, and it's going to be good to see that. And that's going to be, I think it's going to be a huge hit. because Tom Holland really hasn't had big hits through past Spider-Man, but he really hasn't done that much, to be honest. But I think this is going to be a big hit for him, and he's producing it, which is really good too. So I don't know when that's all going to work out, because he's still got to do Spider-Man and Doomsday, and he's got to get married to Zendaya, and he's got to do the new Chris Nolan movie. He's still doing Romeo and Juliet over in the East End. So you got a bunch of stuff he's still got to do. So we're probably not going to see this anytime soon, but the fact is he's been cast in it. He's going to produce it. It's going to get done. It might not come out till 2026, 2027, but it'll be there. Probably 2027, because he's got a lot on his plate right now that's going to take, and he's got a lot of stuff that's coming out in 26. So he might start filming in 26, but probably won't be out to 2027. But that could be really, really cool, though. And I'm actually looking forward to that, because I remember the good old days. Yes, I do. Notre Dame and Ohio State are set to play for the national championship, the whole college football national championship. 12-team playoff thing was a big bullshit piece of crap that a lot of people are upset with, so they're going to have to fine-tune it. The biggest take from this is that if they would have stayed with their 4-team playoff, neither of these teams would be in the championship game. So we'll see. I'm not a big fan. I honestly, I don't have a horse in either race. I've never been a huge fan of Notre Dame. But from what I've heard, the coach who took over from the shitty Irish white coach is now a really cool black guy who's bringing a good team mentality back to the school, and not an every man for himself, we are the greatest of all time sort of things. He's bringing a down-to-earth more thing like that. Might give them a chance to an edge to do better. And Ohio State, I just never could care anything about. Now, I've got friends that are fans of both. My wife's cousin went to Notre Dame for a while, so. But either way, I don't give a rat's ass. I just want college football to be over with. It's just take this 12-team playoff game just seemed like it's forever. I remember the old days when it was just bowl games, and there was, you picked the national champion by who the best 2 teams were at the time. You didn't have this playoff. It just didn't work at that time. I don't know. So we'll see. But there's that's what's going on. A new image of Mercury was posted by a satellite that's out there right there. Mercury is one of the dullest planets in our solar system. But it's always fun to see stuff from the future. So I mean, from outer space, not the future, from outer space. So that's pretty cool. So I just wanted to post the new rankings here for the playoffs. So that'd be good. Kim Jong-un has banned hot dogs from North Korea because it is a North American staple and doesn't want anything American in his country. But he still allows that the convicted felon who's going to be president here in a few days to come to North Korea, which tells you a lot, because they hate all things American. But the convicted felon is not American because he's a piece of shit, traitor, ass white motherfucker. Some happier news. I love these types of stories. School of Rock, the great Richard Linklater, Jack Black movie from the early 2000s. 2 of the students from that movie, who are now grown up, are getting married after meeting 20 years ago in that movie. So I don't know if they were both really young 20 years ago. I don't know if they stayed friends and then reconnected when they were older and started dating each other, or it was just a coincidence that, hey, I remember you from that, and then they started dating and realized that they really loved each other a lot. So congratulations to them. They're not huge stars, but it's always fun to see that. And here's hoping that their union lasts a long time as well. A Working Man trailer. I didn't watch it because it seems like everything. Jason Statham's new action-packed film doesn't really interest me. He had a minor hit with Beekeeper. This is probably going to be sort of similar. It'll probably make a decent amount of money. Statham is one of those guys that, you probably can't put him in a multi-million-dollar franchise, But if you drop him, or you drop him in a small mini franchise, he might do really well. Like he did what was the Transporter stuff? He was pretty good in that, I guess. But he's your old school action guy who is a tough guy, likes to have lots of sex with women, and just shoots up and kills stuff and punches people and throws them off buildings. Old school, action star sort of stuff. He's getting older now, so he's sort of toning it down a little bit. But his new movie, Working Man trailer, came out this week. I didn't watch it because I could give a rat's ass about it. But if you're a Jason Statham fan, go ahead and check it out. It'll probably be coming out later this year, probably in the next few months, and it'll probably do, as I said, decent at the box office, but it's not going to be huge. It'll make its money back and be considered a success, which is fine, which is what I absolutely love. I'm hoping it does, because I think that's the best way you can do that when you have these small sort of indies who drop these $10-15 million budgeted movies with no real big stars, and maybe one big star like a Statham or whatever, and then they go on and make maybe $20 million over their entire run, and you're like, oh, they made only like $2 million in the opening weekend, but no, through other stuff they end up making $20-25 million. That's a $10-15 million profit because your budget is so small, and that means that it's a profitable movie. And that's what is good about Blumhouse. And A24 has sort of been doing that a little bit lately too, where they get these low budgeted films and release them, and they don't do much of the box office, but they get their money back. So it gives them a chance to make more movies and become sort of this sort of threat. And I'm always going to love that. So even though I'm not a fan of Jason Statham, these small budget films that he's in, like The Beekeeper, nobody was expecting the huge success that was. It was like a $10 million, $10-15 million budgeted film. It made like $50 million. So that was a huge hit. It's considered a huge hit. That's why Statham's still making movies. And he's figured out sort of the way to do it. I mean, I applaud that. I applaud Adam Sandler coming up with the idea that streaming was the future. So he's made a deal with Netflix for like $100 million, and he'll give them a new movie every year, and make a new movie for them and star in a new movie for them every year. And it won't show in movie theaters. It'll show on Netflix, and it does huge when they come out on Netflix. I mean, it's their biggest movies of the week. So he's making his money one way or another. So I applaud, stuff like that. So I applaud distribution companies that, do this. I applaud actors who know, hey, I'm a good supporting actor, but give me a low budget film as I can be the lead in it. I'll be good with that. And Statham's, what I call, is a pretty decent guy from what I heard, but it's not like something that interests me, but it does interest a group of people, and they make his money, and he makes his money back and makes the movie successful. Oh, the school where exteriors of Buffy the Vampire Slayer were filmed burned down in the Palisades fire. So that's how we're starting to see more and more of that stuff in there. Fallout Season 2, which has been filming over the last few weeks, has to delay their filming and shut down filming because they're filming out in California during this fire, so they have to delay their filming for their new season. So there's a little bit of a breather there for them. Paramount Plus is debuting a new anthology series of movies, which takes a look at true crime stories that are huge or popular right now, and casting regular actors in the roles. A good example is the first one they're doing is Unspeakable, the JonBenet Ramsey case, which we all know about, had its anniversary lately. That's why it's been talked about lately. And Netflix did a documentary about it that's done very successful. But Paramount Plus, they're doing a documentary about it, has cast Melissa McCarthy as the role of JonBenet Ramsey's mother, and Clive Owens as the father. So they're going to be doing, sort of like what FX is doing with did with the Hernandez brothers and the OJ case, stuff like that. They're going to do adaptations of true crime stories with actors in them. And Paramount Plus has joined the series. So the first one they're doing is Jean-Benet Ramsey, and then they might do one that hasn't been touched before over another serial killer, or they'll find a different type of true crime story and they'll cast, decent actors, actors you've heard of at least, in some of the major roles and release it through Paramount Plus. So I guess it's a thing. That's what you do. Amy Schumer has a new movie. I think it's coming to Netflix on February 5th called Kinda Pregnant, where a woman, I guess I'll explain the story why she does this, decides to wear a prosthetic belly to make it look like she's pregnant, I guess, for attention and stuff like that. And she falls in love with a dude who doesn't mind her being pregnant. And then she's got to figure out how to tell him that she's been lying to him, typical sort of rom-com sort of stuff. Trailer came out. Not something I probably would watch, but oh well. Oh, Chess the musical, Tim Rice's musical that has been seen on Broadway for a while, is getting revived for Broadway. Tim Rice is joining some new lyricists and musicians to try to do a new, not like a new version of it, but to freshen up Chess a little bit. And that'll be coming out on Broadway here soon. So you have the fires in California, but you also now have squirrels in California have become carnivores for the first time. So now they're starting to eat more meat. So I'm wondering if they've been eating nuts and plants, stuff like that. And I guess living in like a California area and their territory is getting, overrun by people dropping food and stuff like that. They're starting to eat that and get the taste for, meat and stuff like that. So squirrels in California have now become carnivores for the first time. This is really cute. I don't know where it was, but there's a zoo that builds exhibits for their animals that have miniatures in it so that it looks like they're towering over them. The greatest one was a little mini movie taken back of a chimpanzee pen, where there's a chimpanzee looking like he's a kaiju. There's like houses and buildings and cars and people, but they're all mini action figure types, and he's walking through it, but from a distance it looks like a giant monkey is walking through a city. It's fucking hilarious. I love that idea. We know where the future is taking us. This is the second movie in like 6 months that is focusing on this. Companion trailer was released this week. The director of Barbarian, which was a hugely popular horror film, is back with a sci-fi thriller horror film, Mix Up, which is set to debut January 31st in movie theaters. Stars Jack Quaid and Sophie Thatcher. It's called Companion. And similar to the Megan Fox movie, basically a guy buys a sex doll who he controls, who has AI and stuff like that. And the sex doll starts to become sentient and starts killing people and threatening him, and he's trying to control her, and she's becoming sentient, so she doesn't want to be controlled, so she's learning and trying to fuck around with him. So it's a sci-fi thriller horror film. There's lots of violence in it. It looks like blood and gore and stuff like that. Not quite as blatantly sexual as the Megan Fox one was, but a similar sort of film is going to be coming out here soon. And the Lost Lands trailer is kind of interesting. Paul W.S. Anderson, who's been known to make these sort of schlocky, low-budget horror sci-fi films. He did Event Horizon and the first Resident Evil movie. But he's pretty damn good that he's married Mila Jovovich, and they've been together for a long time now. He did try to branch out a little bit, did do a Joan of Arc movie, which actually wasn't too bad, but he's considered one of the worst directors out there. Did that movie Soldier, which is terrible. Anyway, he's back with a movie called In the Lost Lands, from a story by George R.R. Martin of Game of Thrones fame. Now, people might not know, but Game of Thrones might be his most famous thing. But George R.R. Martin has also written and edited an anthology series called Wild Cards, which is about superheroes. And I think he's done some other fantasy stuff as well, and other things besides Game of Thrones sort of things. So in the Lost Lands is from George R. R. Martin of Game of Thrones fame, directed by Paul W.S. Anderson, and starring his wife, Mila Jovovich, who is a kick-ass action star, and Dave Bautista, who's actually a pretty decent actor in his own right, coming from the wrestling world, in what looks to be like his version of the Dark Tower, where Mila Jovovich is a slave who is escaped from her slavers who have like religious beliefs, because they have a scene where a dude's in like a white cloak with a red cross on it. And she's trying to free her people. So she hires a gunslinger played by Dave Bautista, who knows the outside world, because they're in this enclosed area, and she needs to get to the outside world to get this treasure that'll help them defeat the people who are holding her people hostage. So that's sort of the setup for it. It looks pretty decent, but it's not one of those things I'm going to go out of my way to go see. If I'm ever bored, I don't think I'd buy the Blu-ray, but if it shows up on streaming sometime and I'm bored, I might check it out. But it looks decent, and if it's low budget enough, I think it has the potential that it could do, as I said, like the Jason Statham one. You put on it looks pretty cool, so you might have like a $25 million budget, so it might be a little bit higher. And you might not get your money back, but I don't think it's going to be a $25 million picture, but you might break even. But you never know. A lot of stuff surprises you. Jessica Alba, who was a lot of people's big crush in the 90s and early 2000s, is divorcing or it's not divorced yet. They're separated. Her husband of 16 years, Cash Warren, which is an awesome name, by the way. They are now separated. So now everybody's first thoughts were, great, now she's single, because Jessica Alba was a very sexy actress. As I said, late 90s, early 2000s, was the original Invisible Woman in the most recent, in the Fantastic Four movie from the early 2000s, was in Idle Hands, was in did the TV show with James Cameron. It was also in Spy Kids, the new update, stuff like that. And she's fairly cute, stuff like that. But just to have your first thing is like, oh, now I got a chance now. But her and her husband of 16 years are now separated, not divorced yet, so they could still get back together. But his name is Cash Warren, and it is the most awesome name in the world. Bring Them Down trailer. Barry Keoghan and Christopher Abbott go to war over livestock. Didn't watch it because it didn't really interest me, but there's a new film for that. I have no idea what that one says right there. Harry Potter gummies are a thing now. All right. I'm just trying to see if I figure this one out. Dark Matter, Dark Mother. Oh, Dark Moth or something like that. I don't know. It's Chris Jericho, a wrestler, horror film set in the world of wrestling. That's what that is. Dark Matter, something like that. So it's a horror film. It's going to be on Shudder. It's going to be a horror film that's set in the world of wrestling with Chris Jericho, who is a former wrestler, as the star of it. So there you go. Deaths, Dale Wilson, Dragon Ball Z dub voice actor, died at the age of 74. And Otto Schneck was the one of the most popular opera directors. He died at the age of 94 this week. Anniversaries, Wisdom, the Emilio Estevez, Demi Moore, kind of garbage film, to be honest. They were debuted 38 years ago, but they were engaged at that time. The Royal Tenenbaums came out. It's Wes Anderson. Came out 23 years ago this week. And Gran Torino, which is Clint Eastwood as a bigoted old dude who befriends a Korean couple, is 17 years ago this week. Television-wise, Night Court, one of the best TV shows of all time, debuted 41 years ago this week. And Talk Soup, a decent comedy show, debuted 34 years ago this week. Down to our final page of stuff. As I said, the Buffalo Bills have defeated the Denver Broncos, and they move on to the next level of the playoffs. So the AFC is set. The Kansas City Chiefs will be playing the Houston Texans in Kansas City, and the Baltimore Ravens will be heading to Buffalo to play Buffalo. So there's going to be, by the end of this weekend, there's going to be 4 games, 2 from the AFC and 2 of the NFC, and they're doing Saturday and Sunday. So I'm wondering if the Buffalo Ravens game is going to be Saturday night at 8 o'clock, or if they're going to shift it to Sunday. I guess it depends on the matchups they get. That it seems like they're probably going to stick with the AFC on Saturday, NFC on Sunday. Chiefs-Texans game, because Texans play on Saturday also. Could be the 4:30 game. I don't think it's going to be 8 o'clock game, even though the Chiefs are the number 1 seed. That matchup just doesn't seem to excite people, but that Buffalo Ravens one has plenty of storylines in it with the whole MVP race and stuff like that. So we'll see about that. But again, we're going to have to wait and see what the NFC matchups are right now. Green Bay is presently playing the Eagles right now. So let's see what that score has been. Half hour. Eagles are up 7-0 very early in the first quarter. So hasn't been going on as much as I thought it had been, but and the Packers are just got the ball back, so they're starting to do their next series. So we'll see what happens, but it's only 6 minutes have passed in the first quarter, so it could have been 2 series already, and one ended up being a touchdown by the Eagles, or the Eagles could have gotten the ball first and did a 6-minute series and got the touchdown. This is Packers first series. I don't know, but Eagles are up 7-0. So you have that, and then you've got the Commanders Buccaneers game, and then you have the Rams Vikings game. So depending on who wins what game. So if the Eagles win this one, and the Vikings win over the Rams, or the Rams, whatever. We'll see. Detroit is the number 1 seed. So one of those games will be Detroit, and one will be at whoever the next highest seed is. The Eagles are number 2, so the Eagles win, they would probably host the next game. All right. Buffy was voted the number 1 best vampire show of all time. It's good, but there really isn't a lot of vampire TV shows out there. Vampire Diaries and What We Do in the Shadows, and there's a couple other ones in there. But yeah, Buffy's number 1. So good on that. Minotaur, that's right. Natalie Dormer and Assad Berg Welsh-French thriller series is in the works right now. David Zayas, Jack Abrams, and James Remar are joining the Dexter sequel. I think they all were in the previous Dexter series and are now coming back to reprise their roles. The fuck? Oh my God, I hate my writing so much. Oh, Reacher, new season of Reacher on Amazon Prime released their new trailer. Mary Poppins, Peter Pan, and the Mad Hatter are going to be the villains in the Poohverse crossover coming up soon. That's the one with Winnie the Pooh, blood and gore, or whatever that is. So they'll be taking on their bad guys, taking on other bad guys. Tom Hiddleston and Haley Atwell have been cast in a English theater production of Much Ado About Nothing. So that's pretty cool. That would be a good cast to check out. Squid Game season 2 hits 126.2 million views in 11 days, the fastest that any Netflix series has ever reached those numbers. So it goes to show you that Squid Games is huge and will be coming back in this year to finish it up in the 3rd season. So another huge one. I got to write down all these streaming things and have a show just about the streamers. This year also marks the 50th anniversary of Saturday Night Live, and I just got my Blu-ray of the Saturday Night movie that came out earlier this year, so I got that upstairs. Haven't watched it yet, but I do have it. But this sounds really cool. They are doing a 4-part documentary series on Peacock, which sucks. I don't have Peacock. starting January 16th about the history of Saturday Night Live, which is really cool. So it's a trailer for Saturday Night Live 50 Beyond Saturday Night is out now, and it looks really, really good. Looks like it's going to be a really good documentary series, and it sucks that I'm not going to be able to see it. Gender Swapped Holes remake in the works at Disney Plus. I think it's going to be a TV show. Holes is a beloved, I never read it, but a young adult book that came out a while ago, and they made a movie about it a while back that was very well received. So now they're going to switch the genders up and make it an all-girls hole digging team, and the grown-ups are going to be played by by boys, the bad guys, the men like that. Yui Bell, along with Paul W.S. Anderson, are two of the weirdest, worst kind of directors out there. Yui Bell has a new movie coming up soon, and he's casting disgraced actor Armie Hammer, who's been cast in the vigilante thriller The Dark Knight. Armie Hammer, as you remember, was on set to play. It was going to be a huge star coming up. He and Cavill did The Man from U.N.C.L.E. He was also the Lone Ranger with Johnny Depp. Did a decent job, they thought there. And then he had these allegations of sexual impropriety and cannibalism, which I hate using this word, but cancel cultured him. And he's just sort of done nothing since, and just sort of been wandering around. It's been considered a big joke. But now Yui Boll, who has also been sort of a big joke also, is making a movie with him in it. So maybe this will be a start for both of them. I don't know. Robert Pattinson and his girlfriend Suki Waterhouse apparently got married on January 5th. So they're no longer girlfriend and boyfriend. They're now husband and wife. Oh, yeah, this will be my last story. 2 bodies were found in landing gear of a JetBlue airplane at Florida. Where else would it be? I guess there were people who tried to stow away and got caught and ended up dying due to lack of oxygen or bitter cold. Don't try to fly in the lower levels of airplane. You're not going to survive, man. You're really not. Hugh Jackman and Sutton Foster, who were co-stars in Oklahoma, are announcing that they are also dating now presently after rumors of them doing that. The Last of Us Season 2 continues the streaming craziness of 2025. Set debut April 2025 and had a new trailer released this week. I did that one. Daisy Edgar Jones is set to star opposite Chris Hemsworth in the Prince Charming movie from the Paddington and Wonka director. I talked a little bit about that before. Trevor Lawrence and his wife Marissa welcomed a baby girl. Grimm was a TV show on NBC that had a cult following, but didn't really do much after that. It's set to get a reboot movie coming out soon. Don't know what that's going to be all about. The Heart Eyes trailer is a new slasher horror film starring Oliver Hunt and Mason Gowdy, something like that. Olivia Hunt, Mason Gowdy, something like that. It's a slasher film about a slasher who has hearts over his eyes and wears a mask, and he kills couples on Valentine's Day. And apparently, according to the trailer, it's been going on for 2 years. And so everybody's on edge about it, and this couple decides it's time for them to take the guy out, but you can see some of the gruesome things he does. It's a typical sort of slasher film. It's set to debut February 7th, which is a week before Valentine's Day, which is good because then you get the whole leading up to Valentine's Day, and the week leading up. So you get the weekend before and then the week leading up to Valentine's Day, but it's going to be going up against it. And if it went on Valentine's Day, it'd be going up against Captain America's new movie. So it wouldn't do very well. But the fact that they debuted it the week before, it gives it a chance to be out for a little while longer and make some extra money. So I think it's good. It looks like a typical slasher film, so good for them. It looks good. Why Care 339 is Vince Gilligan's new TV series, which is set to come out later this year, which is another huge streamer thing. Vince Gilligan was the one that created Breaking Bad. So he's doing this new sci-fi thriller streaming show coming to Apple Plus, which is another one coming this year, is another huge streaming show. So that could be huge as well. Actually, I'll probably make that the last. We'll do these two as last. First, first we'll do the last two deaths. Peter Yarrow of Peter, Paul, and Mary died at the age of 86. He helped write Puff the Magic Dragon. And this one hurt a little bit more. Brian Mattis, a former Orioles pitcher, died at the age of 37. No cause of death has been determined yet, but that was a hard one because Mattis was Matuz, as we used to call him, was one of my faves. Bob Weber, MLB player, died at the age of 89. Roger Pratt, a Batman and Harry Potter cinematographer, died this week as well. So our last two stories this week is Will Smith set to lead the Matrix remake. A cryptic post came out, posted by Will Smith, detailing the history of Will Smith and the Matrix. Originally, they wanted to cast Will Smith in the Keanu Reeves role in the Matrix, the Wachowski sisters. They wanted to do that. Instead, Will Smith turned him down because I think he didn't quite understand the script, or it didn't appeal to him, or whatever. I'm not sure. So then the Wachowskis went and got Keanu, and the rest is history. But now there's rumors of a remake headed up by Drew Goddard, who did Cabin in the Woods and was part of the Buffy crew for a while there, which could be kind of interesting. And now Will Smith has a chance to go full circle and be cast as the new Neo. Now, rumors are also abounding that this is not indeed the case. What they believe that this teaser was for is for a potential Super Bowl commercial coming out February 9th. That has something to do with something completely different than the movie The Matrix, but using sort of the Matrix stuff to sell something. So we won't know for sure. I think it would be kind of interesting to see Will Smith in a new version of The Matrix, particularly if you have Drew Goddard doing the directing of it. The Wachowskis did their job. They've told their story. And I think they're okay with a remake of it. You got to make it a little bit different, though. You can't just ape what the Wachowskis did. So Drew Goddard, who I have a little more faith in because of what he's done before, could be interesting. A good idea was someone actually once the stories have been out for a while that Will Smith was supposed to be in the Matrix. Someone actually did a Matrix Will Smith mock-up trailer, which is actually really, really decent, using parts from Will Smith's other movies that he's done and intertwining them with the Matrix scenes from the original trailer. It's actually a pretty decent trailer, and I'm going to take a look at it probably after I finish the show. So I think it's pretty good. So we'll see what happens. We'll see if it ends up being, as I said, at first thought, I was like, yeah, it's not going to be a remake. It's got to be something to do with the Super Bowl. It was a big story. But then I saw someone else there talking to a female actress. I don't remember. I couldn't tell you. So I didn't think it was that big of a deal at the time when I saw the story. So I didn't copy it or anything like that. They're talking to an actress to play the female lead in the Drew Goddard Matrix remake is what they said. So we'll see. And the ad was sort of similar. Like, they were detailing how, dear Will, you were supposed to be a part of the Matrix, and, the Matrix is a mystery, blah, 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 blah. You should join it, and maybe you will now, or something like that. But Will Smith is the one who posted it, so he knows what he's doing. So we'll see what happens like that. Finally, I'm not going to lose my shit, though. I think I should. But, after Twitter's shit show breakdown with Elon Musk taking over and turning into a shit site now, Mark Zuckerberg, who had been pretty good about, fact checking and not allowing hate speech on Facebook and Instagram and Threads, has now said, yeah, we're not going to do that anymore. So fuck you guys. We're going to no longer fact check. We're no longer going to allow, free speech to be encumbered, even though it might be racially motivated, sexually threatening, terrible stuff towards other people because, he sees who's in office and they're like, yeah, we better just, bow down to this piece of shit before he comes after us. But to be fair, Zuckerberg has always been kind of a piece of shit anyway. So he was sort of forced into doing this. He probably didn't want to, but now that's it. So people are now going to be fleeing Facebook, Threads, and Instagram here soon. TikTok is set to be shut down on the 20th of January as well. So social media is either being taken over by fascist Nazi terrorists, traitors, or you have Blue Sky. And you have Letterboxd, which is one I'm thinking about joining also. And there's a few, there's going to be some other ones. So we'll see what happens. But it's painful going through what's happening right now. And the fact that everyone just gave up when there's so much proof out there that this election was rigged, that we shouldn't be kowtowing or bowing down to the fascist Nazi terrorists because we're not going to be the United States anymore in 2 years when we're supposed to have midterm elections. They're going to be rigged. And the world is already hating us. We're going to be part of the new axis of evil, which is going to be great, by the way. Thanks a lot, you uneducated fuckbags who don't know shit about anything. So fuck you, you pieces of shit, for doing this to our fucking country, you garbage assholes. This environmental, the climate change is causing these fires to be as bad as they have been in Australia and California. This polar vortex never happened until early part of this century. It was always, we had cold days, but never any polar vortex bullshit because the ice pack in the North Pole, which was solid every year until recently, would keep the cold air up there and not down into the States. But now that it's reduced, the cold air's got to go somewhere. So let's go down to the States, and then the jet stream takes us to where it needs to. So fuck you all. And that's all I have to say about that. You bunches of bullshit. God damn it. I'm so angry right now. As I said, I don't know when I'm going to be able to do next week's episode. It's going to be a long weekend, and I'm really honestly not looking forward to it at all because I'm a shitty person. I don't want to go down to the Eastern Shore to a party down there. I mean, I like my wife's aunt, and her husband is pretty cool, but he's also a fucking Trump supporter, as are his children, who are a bunch of girls who have had kids when they were teenagers. And that's, I really don't want to go down to, it's a fucking 3-hour drive. I really don't want to go. And my daughter got out, and my wife is going to force my son to go camping, which I think is kind of shitty also, but I'm not going to say anything about that. And then to have to go down to Olney for a Christmas because my wife's other aunt who lives out in Colorado wants to see everybody, which is nice and great and all that. But the same fucking weekend that we have this party, and we have our kids doing other stuff, it's not going to work. It's going to be a long ass fucking weekend, and it's going to go by so fucking fast, and I'm not going to have any time off, and I'm just fucking livid right now. So 2025 just sucks ass. It's also the last week of President Biden before we evolve into a Nazi fascist state. So thank you again, motherfuckers. Dumb shit, brainless, stupid ass motherfucker, shitbag, fuck faces. I'll see you sometime. Might be a Monday thing. Looking forward to it. Have a good week. Stay warm.